If you're watching this video on the day it was uploaded, December 5th, 2025, that means I've just turned 25 years old. While that may not be a big deal for some of you, a quarter century for me is kind of a big deal. 25, that's a big milestone. I know 30 is out there, 30 is looming, that's going to be when we really get serious, but to recognize this occasion, I decided I wanted to share 25 things that I have learned in the last 25 years. This is going to range from wisdom to life advice to just things I want people to know, and hopefully you find something useful out of this. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Too many times in my life, I've thought if I can't do it perfectly, I don't want to do it at all. When I'm looking at a sink full of dishes and I don't think I have the energy to clean them all, I'll just let them sit there. That's not the mentality that we want. There's something to be said for not half-assing everything that you do, but if you can do something part way, if you can do something just good enough, you don't have to do it perfect. We need to get this out of our heads, this idea of always being perfect. Just do it good enough. If good enough is good enough, then that's good enough. So the spotlight effect is this idea that there is a spotlight on you and that everyone is looking at you. I think of getting this in the gym or any public place. Everyone is looking at me. Everyone's going to see what an idiot I am, what a fool I am. But what you don't realize about the spotlight effect is that everyone has that effect focused on themselves. And so in reality, nobody's actually looking at you because they're all so busy looking at themselves. And the idea about coming to terms with the spotlight effect is knowing that that scrutiny that you feel when you're out in public places, or maybe even just talking to someone and thinking that they're judging you so hard, that scrutiny comes from inside. And once you realize that I'm just a wallflower, I'm just an NPC, you'll find that being out in public is actually a lot easier. People don't care. They don't care about what you got going on. They're too worried about themselves. They have their own spotlight. Everything you want is on the other side of cringe. Think about it. Talking to that girl is cringe. Getting up on stage and singing in front of strangers is cringe. Making YouTube videos is cringe. There's something to be said for having a good humility and kind of living a balanced life, but it comes down to this idea that cringe is peer pressure invented by people that you don't even know to try to get you to do things that they just want you to do. So don't worry about that. Plus, if you ever look back on something and cringe, that means you've grown. Do you ever get one of those moments late at night where you're sitting and thinking, and you're going, what am I gonna do with my life? It's a question that plagues me a lot, but it's inherently a flawed question because nobody lives their whole life all at once. You live it in moments. All you do is live right now. So that's why my mindset shift for this has been, don't live your whole life, live your now, because that's all you can control. If you're sitting here and you're thinking, when am I gonna retire? When am I gonna get married? When am I gonna have grandkids? All these like crazy thoughts, you can't control that, and that's just allowing your mind to spiral. So the real productive exercise in that case is living your now. What can I do in this moment to improve my situation? And you'll find that you'll solve that late night struggle a lot quicker. Life is an art, not a science. I think too often we try to find the right answers like it's a math problem, like it's a science equation, but there is no such thing as a right answer because everybody's answer is different. That's why it's an art. Life is like a canvas. It's like a blank slate, and you're supposed to go out there and give it meaning. It doesn't have a meaning already you're trying to discover. Your life is going to be one of the many masterpieces on the wall of the museum that other people are going to see and wonder to themselves, I wonder what the meaning of this one was. There are mornings when I'm supposed to get up and work out, and I know I'm supposed to work out, but I'm laying there in bed, and I'm so tired, and I'm so warm, and working out is the last thing I want to do. I have this refrain that I use where I tell myself there are no ideal situations because our mind likes to conjure up all of these perfect scenarios in which we can do the thing we want to do. I would love to go for a run, but it's raining. It has to be sunny and 70 for me to do that. Eventually, it comes down to the fact that everybody who's ever succeeded at something has done so through some sort of hardship or adversity. There are no ideal situations, and when you're faced with some kind of hardship and you think, this isn't the way it should be better, there should be some perfect circumstance, that's not real. So don't allow yourself to get caught up in those. There are no ideal situations. When you're struggling with something, it's not always easy to tell the way out, but you have to take action. Too many people are really content with just sitting in their struggle. And I'm one of those people, just thinking that, oh, I'm a broken person or I live a broken life and these things will never get better and they'll never improve. And it's easy to kind of wallow in that, but it creates this sort of spiraling cycle in your head. You don't have to find the answer to your problem, at least not right away, but you do have to take action. There should be no excuse just for sitting in misery. There's no reason for that when you can find a way out. This is all about using the power of your mind over your circumstances, knowing that no matter how bad things get, they can always improve with a little bit of effort. I think sometimes it's almost too easy to forget how powerful breathing is. Like, think about it. We all have this built-in mechanism that allows us to start healing ourselves. Like in a video game when you press the quick heal button, but in real life, it's just you breathing. Breathing is always the first step to healing, whether it's something mentally stressing you out, something's going wrong physically. The answer is almost always just taking a breath. This isn't the kind of advice where it's like, whoa, slow down, take a breath. Like, I'm actually saying breathe, literally breathe. And I'm going to prove it to you right now. We're going to take a breath together. Ready? Like, I don't know, doesn't that feel good? Nice, slow, deep breathing. Pause the video right now if you don't believe me. Take a couple more breaths and see how you feel. I struggle a lot with the unknown. This idea that there are things that I cannot know and will never know. It's kind of a haunting idea almost. This is especially true for this idea that I've heard that if you want certainty, don't follow your dreams. It's so hard for me. It is so hard for me to think that to follow my dreams, to do the thing that I believe I was put on this earth for, I can't know how it's going to go. I can't know what that outcome is. 2 times already in my 20s, I've moved completely across the country to an entirely new place, searching for a new job, a new life, and just completely throwing caution to the wind. And I'm not going to lie, those things are scary. When thinking about this idea of what would you rather have, the comfort of certainty, the comfort of knowing, or the comfort of knowing that you're chasing your dreams and doing that thing that you're supposed to be doing, that you feel deep down inside you were made for? It's really hard to reconcile those two ideas, but it's an idea that's as daunting as it is exciting. Human beings can only be motivated by 2 emotions, and those are love and fear. So the next time you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do, take a moment and ask yourself, why am I doing this? Am I doing it out of love or am I doing it out of fear? And your answer to that question will tell you a lot about where you are in your life. We all know people that are a little too self-absorbed and really enjoy talking about themselves, like talking about all their problems, their struggles, etc., etc. And I know people like that personally, and they can really kind of just suck the oxygen out of the room. But it's important not to let people like that stop you from connecting with others. I really like this idea that a joy shared is double the joy, and a sorrow shared is half the sorrow. That should be our goal when we're connecting with people. It shouldn't be, don't worry about if you feel like a burden on them. Don't worry about, if you have to vent to somebody, if you have to dump some of your problems on them. That's life. That's how it goes. And we need to do that sometimes. And you need to just remember that sharing those things with the people around you is important. And it can sometimes make the situation a lot better. Losing is inevitable, but being defeated is a mindset. There are going to be times in life where you simply lose. Something is going to go wrong along the way. That's a certainty. But being defeated is a mindset. That's something that comes from within. There's nothing from outside of me that can cause me to be defeated. And I think there's a lot of people that have this idea of, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be good enough, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's this self-defeating mindset. It's not even anything from your environment, from around you, it's coming from within. And so the easiest way to get rid of that is just to remember that that is a mindset that you cultivate. You can decide to just not feel defeated. And I know sometimes that's really hard to do and it's easier said than done. But when you keep that in mind, that there's nothing in this world that can truly defeat me if I don't allow it to, find that fire inside of you. There is a way. I promise. Your brain is capable of creating some really powerful signals. I learned this the hard way when I was in 7th grade, and I would get panic attacks just sitting there in math class, and all of a sudden my body starts freaking out, telling me, "You're gonna die, you're gonna die." What that experience taught me is that these feelings are really powerful and they're really controlling in the moment, but they will always pass. When I get gripped by one of those really controlling emotions, it's really easy for me to think, this is how it is now, this is gonna last forever, I'm gonna feel this way forever. But more often than not, this is something that's gonna pass. In about 15 minutes time, I'm gonna feel completely different. And when I try to ground myself in that knowledge, it makes those times feel a little bit easier. There are a lot of emotions that I would characterize as unhelpful, but I think anger is the most unhelpful emotion. I've really never found myself in a situation where I was glad to be angry or that I benefited from being angry, and I think, especially as a man, that's kind of what's expected of us sometimes, is to get angry, get frustrated, let out your pent-up aggression, man stuff. I've almost found that in those moments where I find that I am gripped by that anger, and it happens sometimes, it helps me just to tell myself anger is not a helpful emotion. No matter what is going wrong, it's not going to solve it. It's just not. And weirdly enough, that kind of helps me calm down sometimes, knowing that this isn't a productive thing to be doing with my time, with my mental energy. It might sound a little too simplistic, just don't be angry, but try it. Next time you're mad, tell yourself, anger's not a helpful emotion. See what happens. We like to give a lot of people a lot of control over the way that we feel, but that's not good. You should only pay attention to the emotions of other people when you trust them, when they are someone that you look up to. Everyone else, doesn't matter. Don't worry what they think about you. You do you. Only accept their criticism if you would accept their advice. Everyone, and I mean everyone, needs some sort of creative outlet. I don't care what it is, I don't care what you do, but you need some sort of creative outlet. Because otherwise, what's the point of life? What do you do in life if you don't do something creative? That's the whole point of being here. We need to make things. We need to explore that part of our soul that knows how to put things out there and express itself. And you might not think you're a creative person, but I promise you there's some sort of creative outlet for you. When you're trying to make friends, the hardest thing to do is to break that weird ice between you and this other stranger. It's important to remember in these situations that everyone is friendly, but you just have to go first. Think of how many times have you actually been rebuked by somebody for approaching them with genuine interest and asking them something simple like, "What's your name? How often do you come here? Are you from here?" etc., etc. It might be a little awkward, it might be a little weird, but it's never going to get to a point where there's aggression or anger, because everybody is polite, everybody's nice, and you may not hit it off with everybody, but just remember that if you lead with genuine intention and just take the initiative to talk to people, then who knows where it'll lead. Your energy is the most valuable form of currency that you have, and that's why you need to focus on finding things that give you energy. Think about the people you surround yourself with, the things that you do every day. Do they give you energy or do they drain your energy? I'll admit it's hard to find those things that really boost your energy, but when you find it, that's how life just falls into place. So many things are improved by multitudes, magnitudes, just by finding what gives you energy. Some of my biggest worries are about things that are outside of my control. Although this feels rational, this feels like something that you should be worrying about. If I can't control it, how am I going to know what's going to happen to me? But at the same time, that's also the exact reason why you shouldn't worry about those things. Don't worry about things that are outside of your control, because no amount of worrying is going to change those things. If you have absolutely no say in the matter, then why waste any more mental energy than you have to? Just focus on the things that you can control here and now. If I'm ever sad or having one of those days where I'm feeling lonely, I like to remind myself that you have not yet met all the people who will love you. I think it's a really beautiful sentiment, and it's a really hopeful one, and it's something that points to better days. There's going to be someone out there, whether it's a friend, whether it's an acquaintance, whether it's the cashier at the grocery store, there's going to be somebody out there that learns to love you, that hasn't even met you yet. To me, it's just such a comforting idea, and it's one that I have to take time to remind myself of every once in a while. Failure is the formula for success, and we all know this to be true. You have to fail at something in order to get good at it. But learning this lesson over and over is just so tough, at least for me. Learning that when you fail at something, it's actually you getting to where you're trying to go. It doesn't feel that way. It never feels that way in the moment. And I always have to remind myself of that. Failures are like the stepping stones to your goal. You have to pave that road with failures. And avoiding failures is just avoiding your goals. I know it's a tough lesson, and it's so hard to learn, and it's even harder to remember. And it doesn't feel like it. It never feels good to be a failure or to experience failure. But trust me, it will pay off eventually. Do you want a life that's easy or a life that's hard? I think maybe that sounds like a silly question. You might be thinking, of course I want an easy life, but I don't know if that's actually the case for me. And maybe that sounds a little weird, but I've always been drawn to this saying that goes, don't ask for a light load, ask for a strong back. And kind of what that gets at is, like, don't ask for an easy life, ask for the strength to endure a difficult one. There's so much out there to experience, and I feel like with that comes struggle, with that comes difficulty, and I almost kind of want to lean into that. I want to have a strong back. I don't want to have a light load, I want to get out there. What is it? They say in Dead Poets Society, they're like, suck the marrow out of life. That's what I want. I want to suck the marrow out of life. I want to have a strong back. This is part of our human psychology, that we get freaked out at nighttime. This is what's supposed to happen. The amygdala is going crazy. It's dark outside. We can't see anything. We're supposed to be alert for threats. But in our modern world, this manifests as that late night anxiety. And when I am faced with that, I have to remind myself, do not trust how you feel about your life after 9 p.m. And honestly, you can even move that up to 8 p.m. because once you get into the late night hours, it just doesn't become productive. And I've been stuck in this before. I feel so bad about all these different things that are bothering me, bugging me, and I just cannot get them out of my head. And it helps at least to tell myself that, like, your brain's just messing with you right now. Your brain's messing with you, and what's happening isn't real. Just go to bed, wake up in the morning, you'll feel a lot better. One of my favorite pieces of advice is that your mind controls your reality. And longtime viewers of the channel will know that this is the core tenet of one of my favorite books, As a Man Thinketh. And it's inherently kind of a strange idea. I sometimes get some weird looks from people. What do you mean my mind controls my reality? But your mind is the strongest thing that you possess, and only you have the key to it. If you want to imprison yourself inside your mind and make it a terrible place, that is entirely under your control. If you want to free yourself, if you want to think grand and lofty ideas, that's up to you. This book talks about how your mind is like a garden. No matter what you plant, it will bring forth a crop, whether those are good crops, bad crops, or nothing at all. And it also talks about how people can rise above their circumstances with the correct mindset. Maybe you work in a factory. You don't feel like you're a factory worker. You're going to be the hardest worker on that factory floor until you become the manager of that whole joint. Rise above your situation. You're only as old as you think. If you allow yourself to become old, if you allow yourself to lose that part of yourself that's young and free and full of life, it'll leave, it'll go away, and you'll feel old. And when looking at 25, it's not that old. It's not that old. But I want to still have that part of me. I want to hang on to that part of me that's still a kid, because it's still in there. And I want to use that part of me, and I want that to be around for as long as I can. I don't want to lose that joy for life, that childlike kind of awe and glee that you have. I think that's something that I want to focus on cultivating in these coming few months, and really remind myself that I'm only as old as I allow myself to think.